Hello, and welcome to the Ripple Podcast.
The podcast where we tell you stories of strange and unusual things.
And then the ripples they create.
AKA the story after the story.
I'm Rosa.
And I'm Angela.
And this is the Ripple Podcast.
Get Ripple, the bright new drink with that ring-a-ding flavor, Ripple.
All right, so how have you been?
Okay.
Well, that's a good answer.
I mean, not great. Just the same.
Groundhog Day.
Same. Mediocre
Yeah.
at best.
Yeah.
That's fine. I see you have pink hair today.
Oh, yeah. You noticed that?
I did notice that. And I waited until we started recording to take notice of your pink hair. Or acknowledge it, I should say.
I got tired of looking at my 6 feet of dark roots with the gray coming in. So I decided to just
Dye it pink?
suck it up and put some color in.
Oh. Your hair grows really, really fast. And I guess you don't realize that when you don't have an opportunity to go to a salon and get your roots done. Because your roots were down to your ears.
It was so dark. I text a picture to Sarah, the girl that does my hair, and all she wrote back was, "Wowza."
Yeah.
Because my natural hair color is dark.
Yeah, it is.
It's really dark, and
way darker than mine.
when I lighten it, it's really, really blonde.
Well, yeah. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Rosa had platinum blonde hair, white blonde hair,
really light, really, really light,
and black roots.
super black.
Yep.
You know, it is what it is. So now it's a pinky reddish color.
What color were you going for?
The one color that I had at my house.
Oh.
It was just a random box dye that I had.
Oh, I bet your stylist loves that.
I haven't shown her yet. I'm hoping
man.
maybe my hair will grow out by the time I actually get to see her again.
I mean, I have some color oops at my house if you ever need it.
Is that a subtle hint that I need to fix my hair?
No, I'm just saying if you want to. Well, I'm sure she would know.
Yeah,
She'd be able to detect the color oops damage. But I mean, it looks nice.
Yeah,
It's like a auburn-ish.
well, because my
type.
hair was so light.
It sucked it all up.
Yeah, but
It's quarantine.
it's better than what it was. I
Quarantine
think.
days.
And I've been wearing a hat for the last couple of days too. So there's that.
Yeah,
But
it's all good.
you know,
Oh, I have to tell you, while I was working on my story, what made me scream and almost throw my computer across
for
the room.
real.
Not even exaggerating. I screamed and I threw the computer off of me. I was sitting on the couch.
That's saying something for you because you're not a real jumpy person.
I am not.
What was it?
Let me tell you what happened.
Okay, tell me.
So we have a few beautiful flowers left in our little flower garden. And one of them was this really, really pretty giant bearded iris, big purple flower. And Adam was outside and he's like, "Oh, I'll be nice and I'll pick Angela this really pretty flower." So he brought it in and he put it in a little vase and set it on the coffee table in our living room, which is where I was sitting. And I was typing away. And maybe an hour, pretty close to an hour had gone by. And I take a break and I'm going to grab my drink that's sitting on the coffee table. And then I freaking see it.
What?
A snail
Ew.
that, no joke, was the biggest snail I have ever seen in my life. It was this big. It was, and I guess it was somewhere on that flower. It had crawled its way down the
seriously?
vase onto the coffee
My
table.
gag reflex right now is out of control.
It was on the freaking TV remote. And I screamed. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I just jumped up. I screamed. Adam's like, what's going on? What's going on?
Oh.
And he thought I had seen a rat.
Or a snake.
Or a snake. Mm-hmm. A snake probably wouldn't be in the house. I mean, I guess it could be.
Absolutely could be.
I would hope a rat wouldn't be in my house
Well,
either.
true. No, okay,
But,
so
oh my God.
little Angela Rosa facts. Like, I consider us pretty tough girls. Like, I'll pick up a spider, no issue.
Spiders don't bother me. They don't at all.
I had like over a 6-foot boa constrictor as a pet. I had a tarantula as a pet. I currently have a bearded dragon. Like, that stuff does not faze me.
Well, and I don't know if you saw it, but just the other day when I was on my run, I took pictures of all of the snakes that I saw along the way.
It was a really fun game you were playing. Is it a stick or is it a snake?
It's really great. So if you're really bored on quarantine and you're going for a run, this is the game that I was playing the other day. Is when I'm running along and I see this object off in the distance on the road, and I try to guess if that object in the road is a stick or a snake. And the other day I found far more snakes than sticks. So that was a good time.
But if it's a snail.
Oh my God. They're just, nothing else leaves a slimy trail. Like snakes. People think they're slimy. They're not. But snails, slugs.
No, I think it's something from mom, like that she passed on, like genetically to us, like the gross out factor of a snail.
It is so gross.
Because you and I are both like it makes my like throat gag.
Yeah.
Like, they're disgusting creatures.
It's really bad.
Even like mice, rats.
They're not. I mean, I don't love them.
No, but they don't make me scream and gross
it's like,
out.
Oh, gross. There's a rat that got in the house or something. It's like, it's awful. And then I'm like, shoot, now I got to clean out my entire pantry and like toss everything. But
if it's
not,
snail,
it's so bad.
Gross.
And yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
So that was my day earlier today. And then I told Adam I'm never eating or drinking anything off of that coffee table ever again. So
you'll think about it.
I didn't even touch the remote. Like we were watching TV later that day and I'm like, oh, put it on this. And he's like, you put it on. I'm like, no.
I'm not touching that.
And he had like sanitized everything. And
I know. They think it's funny. They think it's hilarious.
Disgusting.
Oh, wow.
So that was my day.
That's exciting. Mm-hmm. Little excitement for your day. All right. Should we tell some stories?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are we supposed to start talking about our book?
Do we want to do that now or do we want to do that in a bonus episode?
It's your call. Well, actually, I'm gonna pull the older sister rule right now and say we'll talk about it later.
Okay. You haven't read it yet?
I haven't even started it yet.
Okay. I have to go back and because I did the first chapter and I need to go back and like re-listen to it because it's been a while.
Okay, cool. Well, for anyone that would like to join our little book of the month club, we are reading / listening to
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah, that's very
by
subtle.
Mark Manson.
Oh, look at you. You're like pro.
It's good.
Nice. So, okay, I will get to that this week. I will. And then we'll chat.
Okay.
But in the meantime, let's talk stories. We're doing special events gone wrong.
Yep.
And are you first or am I first?
This week.
Sweet. Go for it.
Okay. Here we go. I am going to tell you a story about a gender reveal party / baby shower type thing.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's favorite thing to go to. And holy crap, my page is printed completely like diagonally across the page. I don't know how that happened. But let me tell you about Miss Cheyenne Willis.
Wait, let's back up. Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about gender reveal parties?
I think there's... Okay, here's the thing. So last week, we finished up our episode with unpopular opinions that we hold. And I went back and listened to it, and I'm like, wow, we sound like bitches.
Total negative Nellies.
Yeah, and I was just about to tell you how stupid I thought gender reveal parties were. But you know what? If you want to celebrate, who am I to stop you? Who am I to say that something isn't worth celebrating? I'm just going to tell you this. Nobody cares.
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to not be happy for you because you're having a boy instead of a girl. Like, you know?
If you were to get pregnant would you have a gender reveal party?
I wouldn't even want a baby shower.
No,
to
you
be
would,
honest.
because you need the stuff. The babies come up with or need a lot of stuff. It's ridiculous
But
how
I
much stuff they
wouldn't-
need.
Okay. True.
A lot of stuff.
But I wouldn't have a baby shower in the sense that, like, okay, now we're going to eat melted candy out of diapers.
Ew.
And now we're going to measure my belly. Like, that's just, why?
Those silly little games.
It is. And I feel like you get a quota, too. And once you've met your max, you can't have any more parties. Like, you can't have a gender reveal party and then a baby shower and then a...
Sip and see.
What the hell is that?
Oh, yeah, that's a thing.
Oh, is that when they do, like, the live sonograms?
No.
Because that's a thing now, too.
A sip and see, as far as I know them, is like, oh, the baby's born, and now, like, you can come and see it, and let's have some wine or beer and have some sips while you see the baby.
Oh, that actually sounds kind of fun. But you have to bring presents.
Yep.
Oh. Well, it's just a lot. You know?
I agree.
I would think I would prefer the sip and see over the other two.
I think so. I think that's more casual, and like people like come and go as they please. But then I don't know. Whatever.
Why not just have a barbecue?
A
Hey.
baby cue?
No, okay, you ruined it. I lost it.
I had
It's
a baby
gone.
shower. You threw it for me.
Yeah, I did. And you didn't want to play all of the games.
I didn't, but I also didn't find out the sex of my kid.
That's true.
So
that's like, oh,
I'm
that's what I was
very
about to
not
say.
traditional that way.
So
I didn't want to play stupid games. I didn't want to. I didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted people to hang out.
Yeah, and it was fun. And we hung out. I think there was like a trivia game, which was fine. And you could like do it at your leisure, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had donut holes.
I don't even remember.
I just
But
remember
I
the
didn't.
food.
Yeah, people weren't like getting a piece of string and measuring my belly.
No.
That's just not me. But if it's you, so be it.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm not going to knock you having a good time. Have at it. The other thing that I was going to mention when you said the sip and see thing, now I'm seeing like on social media, it's becoming a trend, is these, you have like an ultrasound tech come to your house.
Oh, really?
Yes, this is a thing now. It might just be a thing for like the Kardashians, but this is a celebrity thing where you have an ultrasound tech come to your house and you do like a live viewing of your
the baby
of
in
your
your belly
fetus while it's still in you. How do you feel about that?
That's ridiculous because, I mean, and maybe it's like those cool like 3D ones or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're
That's what it
looking
is.
at an ultrasound, it like literally is like a blob. It's like a little kid's face is pressed up against a glass mirror.
Have
Or
you
I
ever?
mean, a glass window.
Has anybody ever shown you their ultrasound or sonogram or whatever they're called pictures, and you have no idea what it is, and you're just like, oh, that's great.
That's how my own look. I don't know what I'm looking at. When I go back and look at the ones that they gave us for Eden, it's like a grainy picture like of nothing. I don't know what it is. Remember that Friends episode?
I lost the baby.
I can't
when Rachel
find
kept,
it. I can't find. I'm the worst mother ever. I can't
Yeah.
find my baby. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Gender reveal party. Go.
Gender reveal party. And this was on July 8th, 2017, so fairly recently.
Oh, sure. Mhm.
And Cheyenne Willis, 21 years old, and her boyfriend Elijah Clemens, 26, were hosting this gender reveal party for their first child. And I believe it was at Cheyenne's mother's house.
Okay.
And this was in Coleraine Township, Ohio.
Okay.
They had about 30 friends and family members in
Wow.
attendance. Yeah, it's pretty big.
Good.
But also, they're like 21,
So they're probably one of the early ones
Right.
to have a baby.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So they had them over to show their support for the baby on the way. And then, of course, they took to social media because that's what
you
it's
do.
about now. When Cheyenne opened a gift-wrapped box to reveal a bouquet of blue balloons. So she was having a baby boy.
Okay.
There's so many duck face photos.
Oh,
It was
that
like
the
a
thing.
requirement for this baby reveal party thing. There's so many photos online of this. You've got to check it
I'm
out.
glad that trend kind of went away.
And now it's the horse. Horse is the new trend.
I don't know what that is.
It's like when you're standing kind of sideways, like your lower body's kind of sideways profile shot, and then you like twist your upper body and you do a little like prancy pose with your leg
Why?
to flex your booty. That's the thing. Okay. So, as many, okay, wait, lost my spot. So the party was kind of like winding down. It started in late afternoon, but a few, friends and family were hanging out for a while afterwards, and they decided to watch a movie. So they put on the new Spider-Man movie in the house, and people were like just hanging out. And I think some of the family members may have been staying over because they came from out of state to be there for the baby shower.
Okay.
So around 11 p.m., while everybody was gathered around the TV, 2 gunmen concealed their faces with hoodies and entered the home and opened fire on the party.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. At least 14 shots were fired,
Whoa.
wounding 8 and killing 1.
No.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It's absolutely terrible. So the victims included Cheyenne, Elijah, the boyfriend, Cheyenne's mom, Lori, Morgan Brady, who I guess was a family friend, Amanda Whitcomb, an 8-year-old boy, Brian Garrett, his 2 young children, and his wife, Autumn Garrett, 22, and she was the one who was killed.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, so mother of 2, young, she's only 22 years old. Her family, everybody in her family was hit, and she was killed. So by the time the police arrived on the scene, the gunmen had fled, and none of the witnesses were able to give a good description of their attackers. The following day, the news reports that Cheyenne, who had been shot in the leg and taken to the hospital, lost her baby as a result of this traumatic experience.
From like the stress?
Yeah. That's what she said.
Okay.
So
That's wow. Okay.
yeah, so that just adds like it's a double murder instead of just one person murdered. Shortly after, a GoFundMe page entitled Justice for Cheyenne was created to support her for the medical bills.
How far along was she in her pregnancy at this time?
I don't know, like enough to
know the sex of the baby. I guess.
Yeah, but you can do that really early now with blood tests.
Yeah.
But she was like visibly pregnant in the photos.
Okay.
So there's like a ton of photos of
with
her
her belly.
You can see her belly, and I was trying to find that, and I'm sure it's out there, but like I'm not exactly sure.
More than 6 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Soon after, the police began questioning all of the partygoers to help track down the shooter, but they were met with like this weird resistance, and it says, quote, met with significant resistance that is God damn it, Rosa.
I turned it off.
No, clearly you didn't.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. They were met with a significant resistance that's uncommon of victims of crimes wanting a resolution. So the police then noticed that some of the information that they were being given by these partygoers was just like a complete lie. Like they were just kind of being put off track, and it was just instead of helping the investigation, it was just hindering it. So that was weird.
Are they trying to cover up for someone, like the gunman or something? Or they don't?
Or maybe they're involved in criminal activity and they don't want to talk to the police. That's kind of the way I took it.
Oh, so because they might get more retaliation against them or something?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
So,
but they had reasons, obviously. Duh.
Or they are just like people that automatically hate all police.
Okay.
But, I mean, as the story goes on, you could kind of like make your own judgment as to why they did that.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. I'm jumping ahead.
On July 17th, which was 9 days after the attack, the police held a press conference, and the police chief, Mark Denny, states, sadly, the police department, media, and public have been given information that we have found to be false. Hours and days have been wasted following leads known to be lies that were provided to our officers. As an example, we were led to believe that an unborn child was murdered in this incident, only to find out that that was not the case. The information is not to embarrass anyone, only to provide a fair understanding of the challenges that we have faced in the past 9 days.
Okay, wait, what?
Okay. So they stated that an unborn child, so that would be Cheyenne's baby,
Right.
was not in fact killed. And so many other people speculated that it was really strange that Cheyenne, who was shot in the leg and apparently lost her baby as a result, was released from the hospital after only 1 day. So we find out that Cheyenne herself was never actually pregnant.
Shut up.
She faked the whole thing.
What?
Mm-hmm.
And had like a legit,
Not just a baby shower, a gender reveal.
and people came from out of town
Yeah.
to this event.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And she was faking the pregnancy.
She
Did her
was-
boyfriend know? Well, he must have.
He must have.
So he was in on it too.
Uh-huh. That's the way it looks.
And they lied to the police. How did the police find out? From the doctors?
Yes.
They like pulled the doctor's reports or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had a GoFundMe.
And they set up a GoFundMe immediately after. So
How much money did
kind
that?
of suspicious.
Okay, keep going.
$85 before it was pulled off
Oh.
of GoFundMe. Okay. So Cheyenne lied. She was never pregnant. And as soon as this
What a
information
horrible
was
person.
out, yep, people start to realize that this isn't the first time Cheyenne Williams' name was in the headlines. So just 2 years earlier, when Cheyenne was 19, a video of her being assaulted went viral on Facebook. This video showed her being attacked by several other young women, and she is crying for help. She was grabbed by her hair, slammed onto the ground, and then they take her head and repeatedly slam it into the hood of the car again and again. And then they shave part of her head. They take out like clippers and shave her head. And then these girls.
Wait, how is this faked though? Okay, I'm jumping ahead again.
First of all, I didn't say it was fake.
Oh.
But-
I just assumed.
Well, yeah. So did a lot of people.
Okay, wait, go.
You're
go,
a perfect example. We'll get to that. Okay. So they take out these clippers and they like shave part of her head, and then they take out a Sharpie and they write across her head like, I got my ass beat, or I got my ass whooped, something along those lines.
Wow.
And then the girls sign their names like across her. So they wrote it like the message across her forehead, and then they like sign their names across her cheeks. And
Those are horrible people.
yeah. And then they like tie her up. I think it was like hog tie, like tie her arms, tie her legs, and then they just leave her in this parking lot. All the while they're filming this entire thing and like laughing about it, and then they put it on Facebook. Like they legit uploaded this video onto Facebook. Freaking morons. So a Good Samaritan actually saw her from like across the parking lot and called police and ambulance, and she was taken to the hospital. She had concussion. She had multiple contusions. She was all beat up. Her eyes are just black and swollen. And after this video goes viral, of course they're going to track down like what happened. So a local news channel contacts her and interviewed her about the attack. And she said that her boyfriend, Quincy Gardner, set her up to be ambushed by telling her that he had to meet up with his brother in this parking lot to get some money, is what he said.
Wait, is that the boyfriend that
No.
got her pregnant, didn't get her pregnant?
That was Elijah.
Okay.
This is Quincy.
Okay.
So he tells her, hey, can you drive me to this parking lot? I need to pick up some money from my brother. So she drives there, and it's a setup. So all of these girls are waiting for her. Exactly. And they just like ambush her. And she says she was like completely terrified, and she was humiliated by the video and by like how they made her look and everything. And then she states that she wishes that they would have just killed her right there in the parking lot, because now she's constantly afraid of everything all the time. Yeah. She also states that they took her purse, which had $50 in it, and her phone, and just left her there. So, okay. So you have this girl. She's been beat up. The police obviously are looking for these attackers. They have warrants out for their arrest. They know who these people are because she knew who they were.
Well, and it's on Facebook.
And
they
it's on
can
Facebook.
look up their names.
Exactly. And they wrote a straight up description of the crime on her head and then signed their names. So, you know.
It's the best kind of criminal. Like a complete idiot.
Not the brightest crayons. So a few days later, this was super weird to me. Cheyenne's attacker, the main girl, the head girl, who coincidentally is also named Cheyenne, but her last name is Cheyenne Fisher. She shows up on the news, and she does an interview because she says that Cheyenne Willis is a big fat liar.
What?
Uh-huh. She says that Cheyenne Willis was trying to steal her car. And she said she was nice enough to let Willis drive her car to and from work, but then Cheyenne Willis never gave it back. So they had to trick her into bringing the car back by luring her into the parking lot. And once Cheyenne Willis realized what was happening, she jumped out of the car and she was hollering and cussing, and then she just attacked Cheyenne Fisher. And
So
she
Cheyenne
threw the first punch.
Fisher was defending herself.
Yeah, she was the victim because she had her car stolen and now she was being attacked by this girl. And she was only defending herself. So she, quote, had to slap her around a bit, put some fear into her. I didn't even punch her. Meanwhile, they're showing clips of her slamming the girl's head into the
and
hood of the
signing
car.
her name on her face.
Yeah. So she has a warrant out for her arrest, and she tells news like, yeah, I'll turn myself in when I'm ready. And eventually Quincy, the boyfriend, and Cheyenne Fisher did have to go before a grand jury, and they ended up not indicting them. Why? I don't know.
Huh.
So the news ends like their report, their interview with Cheyenne Fisher, by saying, well, there's no clear-cut victim in this incident.
Huh. I would disagree with that.
I would totally disagree. Like, and the weird thing is, just like what you had thought once you heard about the fake pregnancy thing, is that everyone immediately assumed that Cheyenne Willis made all of this up for attention.
Yeah.
And the news, I mean, obviously I get they're trying to like promote the story and make it more scandalous than it really was. It's literally a bunch of teenage girls or early 20s girls getting into a fight in a parking lot, and one girl got the shit beat out of her, like to
And
an extreme.
humiliated.
Yeah. And so that's an attack. That's an assault. It's not like, oh, I don't know, maybe she asked for it. That's straight up victim blaming.
Well, and even if she did throw the first punch, say she did, then the other girls just, I mean, they took it far.
But okay, let's say she threw the first punch. Do you just conveniently have clippers and a Sharpie in your pocket to shave this girl's head and right across her face?
And someone recording the entire thing?
Yeah, have your cameraman standing by ready to upload to the Facebook. To the Facebook. But yeah, and then the other thing was Cheyenne Fisher, the girl who claimed that her car was stolen, she never even filed a police report for that car being stolen. So
it's just convenient.
Yeah, I don't know. It was strange. Okay. So it just like, it blows me away that people use this old incident as proof that Cheyenne was always a liar and tries to make herself the victim, especially since it's obvious that like she wasn't. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't make her a good person. It just means that she
has some issues.
Yeah. Okay. Then people start to speculate, because of this older incident, that maybe Cheyenne, since she lied, or quote unquote lied about stealing the car, that maybe she lied, and she lied about the pregnancy, that she must also be responsible for the shooting too. And like maybe she lied about that whole thing as a way to get attention, especially after she set up this GoFundMe site.
Wait, so people are saying that there weren't really shooters?
No. They're saying that like, oh, maybe she had something to do with the shooting.
Oh, like hired them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But
that was
she got shot.
right. Exactly.
And people were killed. Like,
exactly.
If you're going to hire, I mean, I don't know.
And that's what I thought too. But like, if you look at the major comments and speculation, even other podcasts, they are saying, like, they're just implying that she was the one responsible for putting all of this. Exactly. Putting it all together. So people speculate that maybe she hosted this party to get gifts and attention and then hired somebody to shoot up the place so that she could fake a miscarriage and get even more attention and donations through her GoFundMe. So that was like the first and major theory. And it was like, it's been on podcasts, it's been on Reddit, it's been all over discussion boards. And after a while, like the case kind of died down because they didn't really have any good leads initially because people weren't talking. So it was kind of left at that. And it's like one of those situations where like, oh, well, that's just the rumor. That's just the way it was. So let me tell you the story after the story.
Okay.
Okay. So in order for that initial theory to be true, she would have had to have been okay with her own cousin being killed. That was Autumn. And her friends, what?
And she's a mama of 2 kids.
Yeah. And the kids being injured and her other friends being injured and her herself being injured and possibly killed. And she would have to have the money to hire these people. So if she's doing it for money, like, oh, everybody's going to give me these gifts and I'm going to have this GoFundMe. Like, how do you have the money to hire people to do that?
Yeah, hiring 2 hitmen can't be that cheap.
I can't imagine that it would be cheap. So I think that's a dumb theory. And it pretty much Oh, and pretty much the consensus of a lot of people is that if she lied about one thing, then she had lied about everything. So, and then another armchair detective hypothesized that maybe Cheyenne was experiencing a mental break after her previous trauma, and she possibly had a phantom pregnancy. So maybe like her body reacted as if she were pregnant, and
she fully believed it.
She just because she was overwhelmed with this stress and anxiety, which is oftentimes what causes something like that to happen. But in order for that to be true, they wouldn't be throwing a gender reveal party.
Right. I was just going to say, how would she, even if she was having like a phantom pregnancy, like how would she know that she was carrying a boy?
Yeah,
like, you don't just like in your brain know, oh yeah, it's a boy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't buy that theory.
I don't buy that theory either. And then these other people speculated that this was a retaliation from Quincy and Cheyenne Fisher for the first attack, because in the video, Cheyenne Fisher states, if you call the police, I'll fucking kill you.
Oh.
Yeah. But I kind of think that they're just stupid idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, their intelligence is pretty low to basically put themselves under watch.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, they weren't even charged with anything in the end. Like, they didn't have...
So there's nothing to really retaliate against.
Right. So then we're going to fast forward to August 2019.
Okay.
When police arrested 4 men connected to the shooting.
Wait, I thought there were only 2 men.
There were 2 shooters, but there were 4 men connected.
Okay.
Okay. So remember how there was like a lot of victims who wouldn't talk to the police?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's because the police determined that among the partygoers were people involved in 3 known drug rings in the area. And Cheyenne herself was actually the main target of a murder for hire hit, which means Cheyenne definitely did not plan this herself.
Because they were trying to murder her?
Because they were trying to go after her specifically.
Why?
Well, that's one thing that we still don't know yet. But police say that they have sifted through tens of thousands of text messages, emails, and other evidence, which was just a huge undertaking, and it required a ton of time. But eventually, they were able to find that Roshan Bishop wanted Cheyenne dead, and he enlisted the help of a man named Vandal Slade.
Vandal?
Yeah. I didn't even put that together. I was like, oh, it's like Randall with the V. But or maybe it's Vandal Slade. He was able to put Roshan into contact with 2 men willing to commit murder for hire. And those men were James Eccles and Michael Sannon. So I'm assuming that Roshan, so he hires Vandal, and Vandal has like his slackies do the dirty work for him.
Okay.
But ultimately, all 4 of them orchestrated this to happen.
Okay. I got it.
Okay. So police at this time are not giving any more information out to the public until this goes to trial.
Wait, this hasn't even gone to trial?
Brand new. This is like this
last
you said
arrest August 2019, so that's not even been a year.
Yeah. So at this point, we're kind of in the dark about the details involved, but because this is my podcast and I like to speculate, I'm going to tell you what I think happened.
It's our podcast.
It's our podcast.
Your story.
But it's my story.
Okay, go.
And this is my speculation, okay? So Cheyenne initially was driving Cheyenne 2's car around, right?
Got it.
And her boyfriend was going to pick up money from his brother.
For drugs.
That's what I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would imagine that all of that had to do with drug delivery service, is my guess. Okay. And that was what the fight was over. It was somebody owed somebody money, and you need to give me my car back because you're not paying up. Pure speculation.
Sure.
That's what I think it's about. I think that Cheyenne, her first boyfriend, her second boyfriend in these stories, they were all involved in some sort of drug trafficking, and she owed somebody a lot of money. And they thought, hey, how do I get a lot of money? Let's get people to give me gifts.
And I can return them or sell them.
And return them, sell them, get some gift receipts, and that's how I'm going to get this money. And she owed a debt to somebody, wasn't paying up, and that's what caused the hit.
And the boyfriend was in on the fake pregnancy.
Yes. Well, I mean, I would imagine
Well,
so.
yeah.
So that's my speculation.
I would say that's a good guess.
Yep.
Ooh, that's going to be exciting when this comes to trial.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens. I did, within my procrastination of writing this story, I looked like all of these people up on Facebook, and the majority of them are idiots and have public profiles.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it was really, really fun to see what's going on in the world. Cheyenne, she's found Jesus. At least, okay.
Cheyenne, fake pregnancy Cheyenne?
Fake pregnancy Cheyenne. And I should preface this by saying that I cannot confirm that these are, in fact, the real people who have these profiles.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
But considering their pictures are the same, the cities are the same, and it really looks like it's probably something these people would say. She's found Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
God has forgiven her.
Mm-hmm.
But also she doesn't have any time for you trash talking hoes.
Oh, yeah. She sounds fantastic.
Her boyfriend is also doing really well. If you are
They're still together?
I don't think they're together anymore. No, he's single. At least on Facebook, he's single.
Okay.
But if you ever need a $20 tattoo, hit him up and he will meet you at the Red Carpet Inn in Cincinnati and get you inked.
A $20 tattoo.
Yeah. So if you're in the area, he's got a deal for you.
Let's go to Ohio and let's get you tattooed.
Oh,
I would love to see his work for $20.
Hey, check it out on Facebook.
Okay, I'm going to have to do that.
And then, all joking aside, I also did look up the victim, Autumn Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
And the really sad thing is, and police have said this, even though they can't give too much information about their investigation out at this point, they did confirm that she had absolutely nothing to do with any of these drug rings.
Just an innocent
She was.
person actually there to celebrate a baby.
She was there to celebrate this baby. She lived in Indiana, about like 2-3 hours away. So she made the trek out there with her family, with her young kids. And she just seemed like a genuinely cool person. The other kind of interesting thing that I saw on her profile is that she posted a lot of organizations that were anti-drug,
Wow.
like helping mothers who were addicted to
She
narcotics.
sounded like she should have never been part of that.
Right, exactly. And it was really sad. And at the time of her death, she was actually really excited, not only for Cheyenne to have this baby, but also her brother was getting married and she was going to be in the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So she was just like, she had so much ahead of her, and it was really sad. She had just started a new job. She had only worked there for like 9 months, and her coworkers already thought that she was just this awesome, caring person who loved her family more than anything else.
That's
And
sad.
so, yeah, hopefully this is able to go to trial soon, and they
get
have
the
some sort of
bastards that did it.
justice. But wild story, lots of twists and turns, not at all what I expected.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it.
cool.
Okay. You ready?
I think so.
Oh, do you want to give me your sources?
Oh, let me see if I have them all.
Oh, if you don't.
I might have to get back to you on that
We
because
can add it in the show notes.
okay, yeah, I'll
That's fine.
add it. I will tell you that majority of it came from local news, and Cincinnati news it's like the biggest of the town. They're closest to.
Sure.
So I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay. I'm not going to give you my sources yet because it is going to give too much away.
Mm-hmm.
But you, little sister, are going to pretend that you're going on the adventure of a lifetime.
Adventure time.
Mm-hmm. And you are super fancy.
Okay.
And you just paid $400 for a one-way ticket.
Okay.
But this is the 1930s.
Oh.
And that in like 2019 would have been $7,370.
Holy.
For a one-way
bananas.
ticket. Okay. You're like wearing your fanciest clothes. You know that there's going to be like reporters and photographers. So you're just like totally like done up because
So extra.
you might get your picture in like the paper.
Got my longest false eyelashes on.
And your furs.
Oh.
You are going to go on this ride that promises to be so smooth that you might not even know that you're moving until you look out the window.
Where am I riding? Am I riding
And something.
in water or am I riding in the air?
You'll see.
Am I riding on
A horse,
a horse?
a train, a plane, an automobile.
Okay.
You are going to arrive at your destination in half the time because this way that you're traveling is faster than the fastest steamliner. Like the kind that the poor people take, like
Peasants.
Mm-hmm.
Peasants in
Peons.
their steam line.
You get to stay in a luxury cabin and you enjoy your gourmet meals in a grand dining room
Now we're talking.
while listening to music played on an aluminum grand piano.
Wow.
I know. After dinner, to cleanse your palate, you can go into the designated smoking room
Ooh.
and enjoy your choice of cancer-causing tobacco product.
Not whiskey?
Well, they have that as well, and
Okay.
gin.
I'll take the whiskey.
So, do you know what this is? What I'm talking about?
I'm thinking Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be there.
You would be
Yes.
Nope, incorrect.
Oh, you
Wrong.
tricked me.
I totally did. I wanted it to sound like the Titanic. However, this is the Titanic of the sky. This is the Hindenburg. So the Hindenburg was named after the late Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg, who was president of Germany from 1925 until his death of 1934. The Hindenburg made 17 round trips across the Atlantic in 1936, its first and only full year of service. And then 10 of those trips were to the United States and 7 were to Brazil.
Wow, they went really far.
So far. And I'm going to get to this. I'll probably say it again later, but it went 85 miles an hour.
Oh wow,
That's pretty fast.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
Well,
okay. Yeah. In May and June of 1936, the Hindenburg made a surprise visits to England. In May, it was on a flight from America.
Visits?
It was like, hello, here I am. I'm fancy.
Hey, giant blimp in the sky.
It went to America to Germany, and it flew low over West Yorkshire town. And then when it was flying like super low, someone threw a package out, and these two little boys found it. And inside the package was a bouquet of carnations,
Oh,
a small silver cross,
that's fun.
and a letter that was dated May 22nd, 1936. And the letter read, "To the finder of this letter, please deposit these flowers and cross on the grave of my dear brother, Lieutenant Franz Schlut, first," and it's a bunch of German stuff right here. I have no idea what it says.
Schnitzel.
But he was a POW, and
Oh.
it said the cemetery. And then it said, "Many thanks for your kindness, John P. Schlut, the flying priest."
That's
Isn't that kind of
nice.
cool?
Did the boys do it?
I'm assuming so.
Oh,
I would hope so. There were many prominent people that were passengers on the Hindenburg. They were usually like entertainers, celebrities, political figures, businessmen and women. One of them was named Winthrop W. Aldrich, Nelson Rockefeller, a Rockefeller. There were German and American officials, naval officers, as well as key figures in the aviation industry, such as Juan Trippe of Pan American Airways, and the boxer Max, another German last name that I'm going to slaughter. But
sure.
he actually was making his triumphant return to Germany after his world heavyweight title knocked out Joe Louis at Yankee Stadium.
That sounds important.
He was like a big deal.
deal.
Yeah. This lady named Libby Magnus Weisenberg recalled watching the Hindenburg glide by her home in Pennsylvania. And this is a quote from her. It said, "It was amazing how beautiful it was. The silver airship against the clear blue sky. How enormous. It was the most exquisite thing I had ever seen." But then the Zeppelin, it's flying and it turned, and on its shiny silver tail was black giant swastikas.
What?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I guess I should have assumed, but I didn't even think about that.
Because the pictures that most people are familiar with of the Hindenburg is obviously it in flames.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a huge Hitler swastika type thing. And then she also quotes saying, "We had no inkling of what Hitler was really doing to the Jews already, but I knew Germany was the enemy," says Weisenberg, and she was 89 at the time. "I was startled, and that beauty up there turned into fear." The Hindenburg actually flew over the Olympic Stadium in Berlin on August 1st during the opening ceremonies of the 1936 Summer Olympic Games, shortly before the arrival of Adolf Hitler to declare the games open. The airship crossed low over the packed stadium while trailing the Olympic flag on a long weighted line suspended from its gondola.
Wait, was this just like one, like this was the blimp? Like
No,
this was,
there were others.
and were they all named the same thing?
No.
Or, okay.
No,
This is the special one.
The one that I'm talking about is just this one, the one Hindenburg. But there were other, like this one here specifically, if you want like the real total name is LZ129 Hindenburg.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So it had, at one point when it flew over for the Olympics, they had painted the Olympic rings on it.
Uh-huh.
But during its final flight, that was covered up, and the name the Hindenburg was written on it, and the swastikas were on it.
Wow.
So in 1936, the airship flew a total of 191,583 miles and carried 2,798 passengers and 160 tons of freight and mail.
Wait, how many passengers did it carry, like, on a flight?
That it could max out at 70 passengers.
Oh, wow.
And 61 crewmen.
That's so crazy. Like, I never imagined that there's that many people in a blimp, you know?
Yeah, this is giant. This is like a cruise liner.
That's so weird.
It's
Because, like,
super
we
huge.
see the Goodyear blimp every once in a while, and you're like, oh, that's cool. I imagine there's, like, 5 people.
Well, the Goodyear is way smaller than this
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Way
That's
smaller.
just, like, what I think of when I think of
No, I'm
a
totally
blimp.
with you. Yeah.
That's crazy.
The
Massive.
airship was said to be so stable that a pen or a pencil could be balanced on end atop a tablet without falling. Like, so they would say that when it would take off, people wouldn't even know that it had left the ground because it was so smooth.
Whoa.
Like, they didn't even feel it until they looked outside. Oh, and by the way, did I mention it was full of hydrogen? That's just a little fun fact.
That's kind of important.
You know. So helium was initially selected for the lifting gas because it was the safest to use in airships because it's not flammable. But at the time, helium was rare and super expensive and only available from certain oil fields in the United States. Hydrogen, however, could be cheaply produced by any industrialized nation, and being lighter than helium, it also provided more of a lift. So it's now 1937, and the German passenger airship LZ-129 Hindenburg is getting ready to depart Manchester Township in New Jersey with its 36 passengers and crew of 22 people. So just a minute ago, like you said, how many could it max out at?
Yeah.
So this was just half of its full capacity. Like I said, it was 70 passengers and 61 crewmen, which it could carry. And it was actually fully booked for its planned return flight back to Germany. But on the way to New Jersey, it was only half full.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
So many of the passengers for the flight that were planning on going, like hopping on in New Jersey and going back to Germany, they were going to attend the coronation of King George. Oh, I'm not good at Roman numerals. What's VI?
6.
Okay. King George VI and Queen Elizabeth of London the following week. So they missed that coronation. On May 3rd, the Hindenburg left Frankfurt, Germany, on the first of 10 round trips it would be taking between Europe and the U.S.
That's so crazy. How did I not know that there were blimps going across the freaking ocean?
They're Zeppelins, Angela.
Oh, sorry.
Zeppelins.
I'm sorry.
American Airlines had contracted with the operators of the Hindenburg to take passengers from Lakehurst to Newark for connections to airplane flights. So there's still airplanes, you know?
Yeah, it's just wild to think. Like, I don't...
It was such a luxury. Like, I mean, hello, $400 for a one-way ticket, to me, seems like a lot now.
Yeah, I was going to say that at the beginning. I'm like, oh, it's kind of a little steep for me, but okay.
Yeah.
But that's so weird.
So there were some strong headwinds that slowed the airship down a bit during this flight, but other than that, everything was going as planned as the Hindenburg crossed the Atlantic. That was until 3 days later, on May 6th.
Wait, what? How long are these things flying for?
They can fly so long.
Wait, so is this the same flight, but 3 days?
Right.
So they're in the air for 3 days.
It's like a cruise liner in the air.
Wow.
They had sleeping cabins. They had bathrooms, pressurized smoking rooms.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's like they had, some of them had like 4 or 5 people in one like stateroom, I guess is what they called them.
I want to see pictures of these cabins.
I'll show you. I have some. So the headwinds and the stormy weather conditions, also included thunderstorms, put the airship hours behind schedule. The captain of the Hindenburg was Max Pruss. After he was informed of the poor conditions at Lakehurst, he decided to cruise over to Manhattan Island and circle around the Empire State Building 3 times. He flew over the seaside of New Jersey while waiting for the weather to improve. So there was never any fear of the Hindenburg running out of diesel. It had so much left.
So they could
in
just be up for
another
a
few
day,
hours,
it's fine.
Yeah, until it got better.
That's crazy. So long to
and
be
then
airborne.
Right. Well, and because he's doing this extra 3-hour tour, people are running out of their homes or work to watch this silver ship flying above them.
Yeah, because the thing would probably look like a friggin' UFO.
Totally. Huge. So Captain Pruss got word that the conditions had improved and that the temperature, pressure, visibility, and winds were suitable for landing, and he started heading back towards their designated landing spot. At 6:20.
Why am I getting nervous right now? I know what happens, but still, it's
getting antsy.
Yeah.
At 6:22, they radioed Captain Pruss again. Does that help? Or does that stress you
No,
out more?
it stresses me out.
And they're telling him that he needs to land soon, as the break in the storm wasn't expected to last for very long. At 7:08, another message is sent instructing the Hindenburg to land as soon as possible. Pruss was already on approach to the Lakehurst Naval Air Station at an altitude of 650 feet. So the landing that was going to happen was called a flying moor. And this type of landing was common procedure for American airships, but the Hindenburg had only done it a few times.
Uh-oh.
And for this type of landing, the airship had to drop down landing ropes and mooring cable when it was still at a high altitude. And then it would be wenched down to the mooring mast. And it took more time to complete this type of a landing, but it required less of a ground crew. And I'm not really sure why they chose to do that kind of a landing. Maybe because they were behind schedule and maybe they sent some of the ground crew home. Maybe they just wanted to try it out. I'm not really sure.
Or if it was stormy weather, maybe they just didn't have the manpower out on the flight deck or whatever. I have no idea. I don't know why I'm opening my mouth. I'm spewing out nonsense.
But maybe that the wench gave them more control because of the windy conditions. I don't know. I mean, these are all guesses that, we are never been in
podcast
a Zeppelin.
Of speculation.
So 9 minutes later, Captain Pruss directed the airship to make a sharp left turn at full speed so he could observe what was happening on the ground. The nose of the airship was pointed downward toward the wind. Shortly after making the turn, hydrogen gas was vented to reduce the ship's buoyancy. And this would help bring it down to the ground. So they had these vents at the top of the Zeppelin that they could open and hydrogen would be released.
Yeah.
Kind of
makes
like
sense.
in like a hot air balloon, when you
The flame.
pull the burner and let it cool, heat, it's kind of similar to that. So someone noticed that the ship's tail was dipping downward, so they ordered more hydrogen to be vented in 5 areas, or they called them cells, of the bow to help it level out. The tail continued to dip lower, so they dropped the water ballast, which was 2,420 pounds. And you can actually see, like, in the videos, like, the water being dropped out, like, because there's a bunch of videos of
Is the water for weight?
Like why it was in there originally.
Like why were they dropping it?
They were trying to make the
like rebalance everything,
right? To kind of have it level out because the tail was dipping down so much.
Okay.
So they released the water ballast, and then they also released the hydrogen for 5 more seconds. And the tail was still dropping faster than the rest of the ship. So 6 crew members were instructed to leave the back of the airship and walk towards the bow. And then right about this time, the winds changed direction from the east to the southwest. Because of this change in the wind direction, Captain Press had to direct the ship to fly like a tight S-turn, which, I mean, you're a pilot, like you have to like go with the direction of the wind.
Oh, so for landing, like he's trying to land into the wind.
Correct.
Got it,
because
yes.
the wind changed direction, he had to fly the ship in an S-turn, which
right. So he wants to fly directly into the wind to help slow everything down.
Correct. Instead of getting a tailwind, he wants a nose wind.
Yep. Got it.
So some say that because of this super sharp turn, it caused a lot of pressure and strain on a bracing wire that snapped, then opened up a gas cell, releasing the hydrogen. So finally, the Hindenburg dropped to an altitude of 295 feet. The mooring lines were dropped. At 180 feet off the ground, lines were beginning to be connected to the ground winch. People on the ground said that they saw like a fluttering towards the top of the Hindenburg as if gas was escaping and pushing against the upper fin. Others also reported seeing small sparks of flames, but the location of where the flames actually began varies between witnesses. So there's a bunch of different theories as to why this happened, and that's a whole other story I'm not going to get into. But then seconds later, the tail of the Hindenburg was collapsing inward on itself. The entire airship became engulfed in flames. The rear structure of the Hindenburg imploded, while 2 tanks burst out of the hull. The airship lost buoyancy on the stern, while the bow jerked upwards. Flames burst out of the nose of the Hindenburg, killing 9 of the 12 crew members stationed there. The 6 that were sent there to help level it out. The tail started crashing towards the ground while cells that were still filled with hydrogen gas continued to burst into flames. The amount of time from the first sightings of the fire until the bow crashing onto the ground was only between 32 and 37 seconds.
That's crazy.
I mean, this huge, giant airship was there, and then it was gone 30 seconds later.
That's insane.
So the exact time isn't known because none of the cameras had been recording the ship when the fire first began. Everyone's
they're just watching it. They don't expect anything disastrous to happen.
Right.
So
and they're watching the people on the ground having a party. They didn't expect, obviously, something like that to happen. And I'm going to try to do this. I might have to edit this out later.
Okay.
But I have this little recording here.
Starting to rain again. The rain had cracked up a little bit. The back motors of the ship are just holding it just enough to keep it from... It burst into flames. Get it started. It's fighting, and it's crashing. It's crashing terrible. Oh, my. Get out of the way, please. It's burning and bursting into flames, and it's falling on the mooring mast and all the folks between it. This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's like 400 or 500 feet into the sky. It's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. It's smoke and it's flames now, and the flame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the passengers screaming around it. I can't even talk to people. There's friends around there. I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen. honest, it took leg down massive smoking wreckage.
So obviously,
Oh my God.
are you gonna cry?
That is horrific.
It's horrible. And it's a
That
little
is
bit longer.
so-
Hopefully that could be understood on the
I
recording.
think it did. We'll have to listen back.
I have
but
the actual
wow.
like transcriptions. Is that the right word? Transcriptions of it?
transcripts.
Yeah, transcripts. So that was Herbert Morrison. He's a WLS radio broadcaster, and he was obviously describing the Hindenburg disaster. And like most of the images, like this one, for example, you see his speech being like kind of dubbed onto the actual footage. So this like kind of went like viral, for a lack of better words, back then. And obviously scared a lot of people from Zeppelin type flights.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, he was obviously distraught. He was
clearly.
he said the worst thing he's ever seen. So when the control car crashed onto the ground, most of the officers leapt.
Wait, control car is the
Like the like kind
cabin part? Like
exactly, where the pilots
cruise
or
ship part?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Most of the officers leapt through the windows to escape, and Captain Max Press was seen trying to re-enter the wreckage to look for survivors.
Oh, shit.
His face got super badly burned, and he required months of hospitalization and reconstructive surgery, but he actually survived. And then there was a passenger named Joseph Saff, I'm going to say, and he was an acrobat. And when he saw
that's convenient.
I know. Yes, exactly. When he saw the flames, he smashed a window with his movie camera because he had actually been filming the landing.
Oh, wow.
And he was able to lower himself out the broken window while he hung onto the window ledge. He then dropped to the ground. And then because of his acrobatic training, he was able to roll once, and he hit the ground, and he only injured his ankle. So because of this crash, 35 people died. 13 of the 36 passengers and 22 of the 61 crew. Those that survived were badly burned. There was also one person on the ground. He was a ground crewman that was killed. The victims either burned to death or died from smoke inhalation. A few tried jumping from the airship, but because it was so high, a lot of them actually died because of their attempted jump.
And how high? It was still like 400 feet off the ground, right?
180.
Oh, okay.
But by the time
they're so close.
Yeah. So the last of the Hindenburg's flames would not completely be put out for several more hours because of the diesel fuel that was still on board.
Oh, yeah.
So here's my ripple.
Okay.
So Werner Gustav Donner, he was born March 14, 1929. He was the last living survivor of the 1937 Zeppelin airship. Werner Donner was 8 years old when his mom, dad, brother, and sister were taking a vacation from Germany to New Jersey. He actually never spoke about his experience on the Hindenburg until 2017 when he told the Associated Press on the 80th anniversary of the Hindenburg disaster the story of how his mother threw him and his 10-year-old brother out of the ship before jumping herself.
Oh, my God.
He recalls the air just being on fire. Werner's father had gone back into the family cabin just before the fire started. They never saw him again. His 14-year-old sister escaped the crash, but ran back into the flames to look for her dad.
Oh, no.
She came back out, but didn't survive her injuries caused by the flames. The actual site of the Hindenburg crash is at Naval Air Station Lakehurst. It's marked with a chain outlined pad and a bronze plaque where the airship's gondola landed. Hangar number 1, which is still there, is where the airship was supposed to be housed after it landed, and it became a registered National Historic Landmark in 1968. So today, hydrogen has many advantages as fuel. It's cleaner than fuels. It burns easily, obviously, and is safely managed in difficult environments. But because of the Hindenburg disaster, it's not really possible to discuss using hydrogen, especially regarding aeronautics, without the topic of the Hindenburg effect coming up.
Right.
So, however, because of the research and testing that people are doing, that views are starting to change. The hydrogen economy is growing because of its use in buses.
Yeah.
There's hydrogen.
Because there's hydrogen cars now.
Obviously, hydrogen power, like nuclear plants, and like research programs. There's a lot of information and research being done on how to safely use hydrogen. And this was a quote that says, "We cannot say that there will never be another airship or hydrogen disaster, but we can feel safer in the knowledge that we live in a very different world to that of the Hindenburg." And that is the end.
Wild. So is that why we don't have flying cruise ships anymore?
So the Hindenburg was not the worst Zeppelin explosion. There was actually a few more that killed many more people, but because this one was videoed and
I was just
released
gonna guess
and
that.
publicized so much,
I know what you mean.
It really scared people, and they're like, "Screw that! I'm taking an airplane. I'm taking a boat. I'm taking a train
Across the Atlantic."
Well, okay, but air travel was becoming more and more popular,
Right.
And I mean, one of the people on the Hindenburg that had flown on the Hindenburg, not during the crash, but previously, was someone from Pan American, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
So obviously, like, advocates of flight in various different, ways. But yeah, I mean, I had heard of the Hindenburg. Everyone had heard of Led Zeppelin, for example. But I didn't know the story.
No, neither did I. And I had always assumed, and I don't know why, maybe it's just because I looked at the picture and interpreted it in some way, that I always assumed it had hit something. And then...
Okay, so there's a bunch of different, like I was saying, a bunch of different theories. Some are saying it was the storm. Some were saying it was lightning. Some, like, the static electricity in the air.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Some were saying that it was a tear in the fabric, because it is fabric. It wasn't like... a metal ship. It was kind of
right.
like a balloon.
Inflated.
Right. Some say that, that the pilot just turned too sharp that created that rip. Some say that it was like sabotage, and like, there was some Nazi stuff to go with it. I didn't get into all those different theories, obviously, because that would be like a 14-hour show.
Right.
And they don't know. They don't know for sure what the actual cause was.
Weird. That's so crazy. That's really sad. That whole sound clip, I hope it works for this podcast, because wow, that is intense.
Right. So
that's a good one. I had no idea. I guess I had never really thought of it that much before.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what this podcast is about, the strange and unusual.
Yeah,
so.
That's a bummer of a special event.
I know. But let's pick a topic for next week.
Oh, okay. It's your turn this
Is
time,
it?
because
Okay.
I picked like 6 of them last week, and they were all ones that we had already done before.
So we kind of cleaned up the basket and clipped the ones that we've already done together.
And we have some listener suggestions thrown in the mix.
Yes. So if you have a suggestion, hit us up.
We'll throw you in the basket. Find us on Instagram, Ripple Pod, I think, right? Is that our Instagram handle?
We do this every
Let me
single
look
time.
it up.
Every single time. We can't think of it.
Okay.
We're on the Facebook as well.
You shake that up, and I think it's Ripple Pod on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Ripple Pod. Find us on Instagram. We post pictures to go along with our episodes and some funny memes to cheer you up in this quarantine corona time. And yeah.
Okay. You ready for next week?
Ready for next week's topic.
Curses.
Oh.
One word. Curses.
Curses.
So however you...
Curses.
Curses.
Want me to just come on here and just like
Curse us?
curse at you the entire time?
Damn it. Angela. Is that a curse?
I think so. Yeah, because aren't you damning me to hell?
I am.
Oh,
All right.
man.
So, after that, curses will be kind of fun, I think. Kind of Halloween-y, and I love Halloween.
Well, there's things that are cursed too.
Right?
Oh, yeah. We'll find something good.
Well, ours will be totally different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even today, they were like extremely different.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Well, until next week. Are we good?
I think we're good.
All right.
good.
Don't forget to be a fountain.
Not a drain.
Bye, everybody.